Yes, sir.
Sir.
Okay, great, Bhavan Kumar. Yeah.
Like look at the PSC that you shared. It can't move.
Okay, great team. Yeah. So we'll wait for 2 more minutes for our friends to join, or other friends to join, and then we'll continue. Right. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Okay, team. I welcome everyone to the session team. Good evening. And I hope you're doing well. Right. And welcome back to the session. Welcome back to the series of generative AI sessions we have. Right. So, initially, this session was started by our CEO, Mr. Barney Kumar Dupuru. And of course, as he discussed yesterday, for 4 days, I'll be talking about the projects. And of course, after that, our CEO, Mr. Barney Kumar Dipuru, will continue with the session. Right. So let's talk about today's session. Right. So let me set the agenda clear for today. Agenda for today is very, very clear. We'll talk about the real life project. Basically, we'll be talking about a real life project, the project that we do for clients at AI Spry, right? The project that we do here, what we implement for us also, right? We being a AI company, a consulting vertical. So we do projects here too. So when you start with session, the first thing you must have noticed is AI Spry. Now you must be thinking, what is AI Spry? You know about 360DigiTMG. When I talk about AI Spry is a consulting vertical. When I talk about 360DigiTMG, we are into EdTech. At the very same time, AI Spry is a consulting vertical where we get projects. We solve AI, so we give AI solution, right? We solve problems related to the same. We give AI solution, and thus we have many projects. Initially, on the very first day, our CEO must have shown many projects that we have done, right? That was about the project that we are doing and what we are getting, what we are into. It was all about that. Now here, when we talk about AI Spry, what we do here, in AI Spry, we deal with advanced analytics. When we talk about advanced analytics, what do we have in advanced analytics? In advanced analytics, we talk about data engineering. We talk about data science. We talk about data analysis and MLOps. And of course, we deal with Gen AI projects too. Now, Starting from this, from AI Strive, of course, you know, we are talking about, when we are talking about 360DigiTMG, we always, what we do is, we give real life projects to students at 360DigiTMG. And where do we get these projects from? We get these projects at AI Strive, and similar projects we do at 360DigiTMG. Now, when we are talking about the real life projects, of course, when we are talking about real life project, this just means that we will be publishing our papers too, right? So when our students do a real life projects, we actually make sure that they get their papers published. Our students get their papers published in international journal. Now, top 3 students from every project, from the projects we do, get their paper published, right? Of course, we are doing projects related to the real world, real life scenario. Now, talking about this particular project here, I'm here today with AI tutor chatbot. Now, till now, when you paid attention to this session, you noticed that we were dealing with crisp MLQ, complete crisp MLQ methodology. So, team, a quick question. What is the full form of crisp MLQ? Right, let me just type that. What is the full form of crisp MLQ? Come on, team, I'm waiting for it. Very good, Gopi Krishnan. Yes. And yes, team, I'm expecting more answers. I'm expecting that you will be very, very active the way you were since last 3 sessions. I got to know from our CEO that session is very, very active, right? Students here are very, very active. Yes, exactly. It's cross-industry standard process for machine learning with quality assurance. Exactly. So, yes, guys, exactly. So, when we are talking about this particular project, let me start this project. And this is how we show it to client. We show this slide to the client. Basically, we talk about all the aspects of crisp MLQ, right? What we have done in the project, everything. Now, talking about AI Spry, well, let's see an overview of AI Spry. Basically, when we talk about AI Spry, of course, we are AI consulting vertical. We are world-class solution provider in the space of artificial intelligence and generative AI. We are 182 plus strong data experts who have several decades of domain experience. This company is founded by alumnus of IIT and ISB in 2016. When we talk about our CEO, he is also an alumnus of IIT and ISB. We have successfully implemented AI solutions for 45 plus customers in India, Malaysia, Canada, and Middle East. And we have presence in 4 metros in India and in Malaysia to cater Asian market. Now, when we talk about any project, to the client, we talk about a complete high-level flow of AI solution building, what we will be dealing with. We all know about CRISP MLQ, right? Now, we talk about business understanding, data collection, right? What we do here, research on data on similar problems solved at AI Spry and elsewhere, data exploration as well as pre-processing, model building, evaluation. We have 3 success criteria. Yesterday, you saw that we have 3 success criteria. That is business success criteria, machine learning success criteria, and economic success criteria. And we evaluate on those terms. Talking about deployment, we deploy it on AWS, deploy these models on premise as well as on cloud. So this will be done on cloud platforms. Specifically now we're dealing with cloud platforms only. Now, talking about the last step, we talk about model monitoring and maintenance. Of course, for every model, we need to do monthly, quarterly retraining, right? So that we continuously improve it and improve the accuracy of the model, right? Now, talking about the value chain, talking about the value chain of the project that we are dealing with, we talk about user interaction. Whenever we are talking about chatbot, we know we talk about someone, a person dealing with technology, right? For example, the person will enter some question, and of course, chatbot will give some answer. We all have seen ChatGPT, right? Now, this particular project, what is it? What this project is all about? Now, if you have noticed, in any college you see, any institute you see, there are some questions that are repeatedly asked. For example, if you are enrolling in any college or any university, or for example, you are enrolling to 360DigiTMG, there will be few questions that you will generally ask, right? Now, there will be few questions related to the topics that we are dealing with. There will be few questions related to the process that we follow. And yes, these questions are repeated in nature, a lot of repeated questions. Now, what we need to do here? We need to make sure that we come up with a solution to reduce the manual labor, right? So, we came up with a chatbot. We'll see all these things we'll talk about. This is just to give you a value chain. We talk about user interaction. You being a user, interacting to a chatbot. Here, students ask queries via mobile or web applications. Maybe you're going to the website of the college or that institute. Maybe you're just going to website in your mobile itself, right? The question we talked about includes, again, academic, counseling, and administrative queries. And as we discussed, these are repetitive in nature. Now, we need to make sure that we create API, a great way that routes students' queries to a machine learning backend. Of course, we need machine learning backend. There we'll have all these queries, answer to all these queries, we'll go further. And it ensures proper data flow between the front end and the back end. Now we have a machine learning model in the backend. Of course, it processes all the queries that we have using pre-trained models. What are pre-trained models? Yesterday, our CEO talked about it. We'll be talking about it again. And yes, after this class, after these sessions, session 4, 5 sessions, that when we are talking about a complete project, when these sessions are over, our CEO will be explaining the same thing. Again, he'll be explaining it in detail, right? So as we discussed, stay connected, right? We request you to join every single day. And as we have discussed, you will be getting certifications at the end of the session, right? At the end of the complete session. Now, the machine learning model we have, it delivers accurate responses based on past queries and the knowledge sources. Of course, when we are talking about machine learning models, we have given some data already to the model. And yes, the same thing is retrieved, right? When a user gives query, the answer the person gets or user gets is from the data that we have given beforehand, right? Now, talking about data sources, you have access to the vector databases for embedding based searches, queries relational databases for structured and frequently asked information. They are vector databases. We'll be talking about it when we deep dive in the project. When we completely deal with it, we will be talking about it even more. And talking about the response delivery, well, when we talk about a particular model, the models that we are using, GenAI model that we are using, the pre-trained model that we are using, return the most accurate and relevant response to the student. Now, at the very same time, there's always retraining going on, right? There should be a continuous feedback that improves the model. We need to make sure that we give that feedback and retraining. Now, this was a complete value chain we talk about. What value chain does? Talking about this, a value chain enables user to handle query efficiently, very efficiently. A user gives a query and he gets an answer in return. What happens in the backend? Well, we'll be talking about that today. And integrating front-end interactions, processing and back-end data systems. Whatever data system we have at backend, we'll just integrate it with the front end, and yes, we'll get a proper response. Talking about the methodology, we have seen that a methodology that is very famous, this is what we use. We use CRISP MLQ methodology. Project management methodology that we are talking about is CRISP MLQ. As we discussed, you have previously seen these concepts completely. Our CEO has explained the concepts completely. So we'll be dealing with it and we'll be talking about the complete project in terms of CRISP MLQ. Right. So talking about CRISP MLQ, we have 6 phases just to make sure that you're revising it too. The first phase we deal with is business understanding and data understanding. Business understanding and data understanding. Second phase we talk about is data preparation, where we prepare the data. In business understanding and data understanding, we understand what is the business problem all about and what is the data all about. What is the data that we are dealing with? Right. Now, in the data preparation part, we make sure that we clean the data accordingly. We make that data in such a way that machine is ready to take that data, right? To provide that data to machine, right? Now, the third part we're talking about is model building. Well, we have a lot of models here. We have used a lot of pre-trained models, and we will be discussing about the same. Fourth part deals with model evaluation. Model evaluation is very much important to understand the accuracy of the model, how the model is behaving, and all these things. Next, we talk about is model deployment. As we have discussed, we deploy model in AWS. And here also in this particular project, we have deployed the model in AWS using EC2 instance. The next step we talk about is monitoring and maintenance. The complete CRISP MLQ methodology is here. Business understanding, data preparation, modeling, evaluation, deployment, and monitoring and maintenance. Right. Talk about this complete methodology. Now, before we talk about the business understanding, I request you, if you have joined this session from YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, as our CEO has discussed previously, we actually post questions every single day, and you have to answer those questions. Yes, we are keeping note of it. We are keeping track of it. Right. Make sure that you go to the 360DigiTMG LinkedIn page, and yes, please follow the same. Right. Now, talking about the business understanding. This is the first part of CRISP MLQ. Here, first of all, we deal with the business problem. What is the business problem here? Business problem is students often ask repetitive questions at institutes requiring extensive manual effort from staff. Now, this particular project we talk about is something that we have done for ourselves. There's something that we are starting. When we talk about we being a really good AI consulting vertical, of course, we need to make sure that we use generative AI too in our process. Of course, from tomorrow, we'll be talking about the clients that we have, right? We'll be talking about the complete project that we deal with, right? And how we have meetings with client and all, everything we'll be talking about. Now, as we are starting from this particular project, again, as we discussed, this is specifically what we have done at 360DigiTMG, of course, from AI Spry. We have made sure that we work on this. Talking about business problem, as we have discussed, students often ask repetitive questions at institute, requiring extensive manual effort from staff. Consider that you are taking admission in a college or institute, as we have discussed previously. We have a lot of questions and those questions are from different domains. We talk about process question, we talk about technological questions, we talk about administrative questions, different questions. Now think of it. When we are talking about AI or generative AI, we are making sure that we are reducing manual labor. Thus, we are coming up with really good answers, right? Of course, less manual requirement, less manual labor. We will be using technology, we'll be increasing our revenue. Of course, we'll be dealing with that. Now, the objective is very simple. Whenever we talk about business objective and business constraint, we make sure that once you understand the business problem, you give your business objective, you give your business constraint. And when we talk about it, in general, we expect that we write business objective in 2 to 3 words, right? Or maximum 5 to 6 words, not more than that. Now, objective for this particular project is to minimize manual work. Yes, we do need to minimize manual work. And what is the constraint then? If you are minimizing work and you are giving the data to the machine, this just means there is a chance of data leakage. What we need to do is we need to maximize data privacy too. We have to balance both objectives and constraints when we talk about a particular project. Not just this project, we talk about any project. We have seen when talk about business understanding, these are some things we talk about, right? Now, we have different success criteria. We have business success criteria. We have ML success criteria and economic success criteria. We talk about these 3 success criteria, right? Now, when we're talking about business success criteria that is something that that is actually related to the business problem itself. Business success criteria is to increase communication with the chatbot application by 80%, right? Improving engagement and support efficiency. Now, when our CEO was discussing the same thing, we talked about quantifying the success criteria. We have 3 success criteria. And we talk about quantifying it. Quantifying means what? Quantifying means giving a number to it, right? Now, what we need to do? We need to increase communication with the chatbot application by 80%. We need to make sure that slowly and steadily we are phasing out manual labor and we are improving the engagement and support efficiency. How is it possible? Well, if you have a chatbot that's really good, right? And if the chatbot is able to answer all the questions, this just means people will rely more on chatbot and less on people, right? If they are getting their answers directly without going anywhere with the help of a chatbot, why would they interact with anyone else, right? So we have to improve engagement and support efficiency. Now, Talking about ML success criteria, we need to achieve 90%, 98% accuracy rate for the chatbot's responses. Yes, 98% accuracy is really, really good accuracy we're talking about, right? So we'll make sure that whoever is interacting with the chatbot, they will get right answers 98% times. That's a really good accuracy we're talking about. And when you are easing the manual work, or when you are slowly and steadily phasing out the manual work, this is very, very sure that there will be increase in revenue. Right? You might have hired people for the same. When someone else is doing that work, a chatbot, a machine, for example, an algorithm is doing that work, why would you need to actually pay to a person? Of course, in that way, if you are not paying to anyone, if you are not hiring anyone, you're increasing revenue by 20%. How are we going to increase this? We're increasing this through improved communication and automation. How do we improve communication? We make sure that we have a chatbot that's really, really efficient. And thus, we're increasing the communication and automation. Now, this is a complete business understanding we have, right? I hope this is very, very clear. Now, you might think of different scenarios. Of course, right now, when we are talking about chatbot, you can come up with your own scenarios too. And think of it. Can you apply generative AI there? Yes, of course. You need to think on those lines, right? Now, let's talk about the next phase. Let's talk about data understanding. Of course, the same phase we are talking about, the second part of the same phase, we are talking about data understanding. When we are talking about data understanding, who is our target audience? Well, the target audience can be a prospective student, right? Someone who may be our student, someone we are looking for, right? A participant basically, or already enrolled students. Now, already enrolled students are seeking academic support. Maybe it's different type of queries they have. We'll be talking about that. Learning resources and counseling. Is everything going fine? If there's someone who's enrolled, is everything is going fine there on their behalf? Are they able to learn everything properly? Talking about prospective students are looking for information on courses, fees, admissions, discounts, etc. Right. Prospective students, now they have some such questions. Those questions can be easily given by chatbot. Enrolled students, when they have such questions, those questions can be easily solved using chatbot. What type of queries do they have? Well, they have process-related queries. They have some doubts they face during their learning phase. They have counseling or guidance. They have the sales or admission, such type of queries. Now, process-related queries include admission procedure, how to get admission, fee structure, complete enrollment steps, how we actually can get enrolled to particular institute. Talking about doubts, there may be topic explanations. For example, now, if you are a student somewhere and you need to get answers to some questions, it may happen that, okay, there's some concept and you are missing that concept again, right? You just want to make sure that you revise that concept. Of course, if the topic explanation is not clear, you can go to a person. But at the very same time, here, you can talk to a chatbot too. If there's any help is needed in assignment, for example, a trainer won't be there wherever, right? Of course, they have different avenues where you can get your queries solved. Assignment help we give, or study resources. Now, next is counseling or guidance. Basically, we're talking about career advice or academic support or anything like that, right? What career advice would you give as a counselor, right? If this person who can give this career advice, of course, similar type of career advice can be given by chatbot too, and academic support. Talk about sales or admission. We talk about basically the courses that we offer, the courses that we can offer, or the pricing that we are providing, or pricing that we are kept, and of course, special discount that you may have. Now, when we are talking about these queries, we clearly know lot of these queries are repeated. Now see this. Of the queries that are related to process are repeated frequently, right? Process oriented, most of the queries are, and they are repeated frequently. Now, rather than waiting for a person to answer, if we can get those questions answered quickly with the help of chatbot, won't that improve the communication, customer communication, right? Won't that be really, really helpful for the customer? Of course, quick resolution of queries can be significantly improved to student experience, and student will have a seamless learning experience. Right? This is what we have in data understanding. Basically, we talked about target audience and the type of queries that we get when you are talking about complete data. Now, we'll talk about end-to-end architecture using architecture diagram. Of course, this end-to-end architecture we can talk about. Deployment architecture we can talk about. But here, how do we generally proceed with the project? Few steps we take. Once you are done with business understanding and you're done with data understanding, you understand the business clearly, right? Before this, before we go to the next step, that is data understanding, or the same step, what we do is, after understanding the business, the objectives and constraints, what we generally do, we do research, right? When we talked about here, we talk about high level flow of AI solution building, we clearly talk about one more pillar, research. And that is really very important. Now, what research do we do? Research related to the business problem we have. Now, it may happen that these business problems are already solved somewhere, or someone is in the process of the same, right? A similar problem is solved somewhere. Now, what we need to do here? We need to make sure that we research properly so that we can ease our burden too, right? And we can get an insight on how someone has worked already on the same project or similar type of project, if not the same, right? Now, when we talk about research, we need to read a lot of research papers. What we do here, once we understand the business problem, once we understand what's the objective, constraints, of course, first of all, once we understand all these things, we come up with the project charter. Now, when we talk about project charter, project charter is the first document that's prepared in a project. What it has basically, it has high level information, right, of the complete project. What are the risks involved? Who's the owner of it? Right? Who's the sponsor? All these things are there in the project charter. Project charter, when we talk about a particular project, is the first document that gets prepared. And we expect our students to do the same thing. We do the same thing in industry too. When we talk about AI Spry, we actually make sure we completely follow the process. Follow the process, basically understanding the business objective. We talk about the constraints with the client, and we come up with the project charter. We come up with the accessibility document completely, right? Project charter is the first step that gets prepared. And what do we have here? We have high information, high level information, right? what are the risks involved and all those things, right? Basically, talk about high level information. Right. Now, once this is made, once this is done, we come to the next part, that is search. When we're talking about research, what we do is we study the research papers. Now, basic Google search, no, it may happen that there's some issue. Maybe using ChatGPT, if you're using, it may happen the model is hallucinating. The model may hallucinate. Now, ChatGPT or any such chatbot, it may happen that we may hallucinate because this is one problem. Now, when talking about research, we go for research paper, and this is the complete methodology that we follow, the complete process we follow at AI Spry. We read research papers. Research paper, well, as many as we can, right? To get proper insight from that particular research paper. Once you have a clear idea of what you are getting into, of course, when you have done this, when you have read research paper, at least 10 research paper is generally what we tell our students, or generally what we go for. At least 10 is what we go for. More than that, definitely. We can go more than that too. Now, once you do research, once you read research paper, you get complete idea of the flow. What are you going to do in there? So to make sure that we do the same, what we do there, after research paper is done, after we read research paper, we go for architecture diagram. We go for architecture diagram, or we call it project architecture. Now, of course, this is generally we are following before data preparation and all. These are the process that we generally follow at AI Spry. And this is something that since we are dealing with a complete project, we're talking about the same. Now, once research part is over, we go for project architecture. Write it. Project architecture. Now, when we talk about project architecture, we talk about different design. Yesterday, our CEO explained the same. High level design and low level design, right? High level architecture, a low level architecture. We talked about DAR yesterday, right? Detail analysis and resolution. We talk about that. Sorry, decision analysis and resolution. We talk about that. Yes. So, project architecture. We have high level design, high level architecture. We talk about. We have low level architecture. Now let me show after this low level architecture too. High level architecture and high level design and low level design you can call it, or low level architecture you can call it. That's same. Or high level architecture, low level architecture, that would be same too. Now before we go there, before we move there, let's talk about project charter. I want to know now, I want your response. What is project charter? Okay, what is the first document that get prepared in a project? Let's talk about the same thing. I need your response, team. What is the first document? It's prepared the project. Well, I need answers. Yes, I'm getting answers. Very good. Exactly. Now, I expect our friends who are watching this video on YouTube, watching this YouTube live, are also writing the same in the chat box, right? Write it, it will be actually increasing your understanding. You will understand even more. The more active you are, better will be your learning. Okay, I'm getting a lot of right answers. Exactly. The answer we are talking about is project charter. Complete project charter we have here. The answer is project charter. Now, as we are discussing, two level of architecture. First is high level, second is low level. Right? High level design and low level design. Let's talk about it. Before we move further, let me show you a complete architecture. How do we make this high level design and low level design? Now, as we discussed, once we do research, we are very clear with what we actually want to do. Because of this research, we have a clear idea. So, this is how the high level architecture diagram looks like. Right. Now, what we have in the high level architecture diagram, completely, you will understand the complete process here. Hi team, apologies for the same. I guess there was some problem with the network. I believe we were discussing it here. We were here at the high level architecture diagram. So when we talk about the architecture diagram or high level architecture diagram, we start with one end and close at another end. If we start with one end, for example, we have client here. Right, when we talk about the first step, of course, we have client. After client, we have clearly, we do business and data understanding. We talked about it, right? Client, business and data understanding. Now, this high level architecture diagram completely follows the crisp MLQ methodology, right? We have seen it. And friends, it's very important. When you talk about crisp MLQ methodology, you're dealing with generative AI, data science, or anything. This methodology is very, very important. And you make sure once you understand this, you implement your projects in the same way. Because this is what does actually industry standard that we go for. Now, client, this business and data understanding. After that, we do data collection. We'll be talking about these things in detail, data collection, data pre-processing, what we did in the complete project. We'll be talking about it, right? So data collection we have. After that, we go for data pre-processing. After data pre-processing, we move towards model building. For this particular project, we are using two type of model building here. Basically, we are doing model building using in drag and fine tuning we are doing. After that, we move for model evaluation. We are seeing different evaluation. For example, let me just zoom this particular screen. That would be easier for you. Complete architecture. This is the high level architecture diagram. High level design, we call it. This client, and we have business and data understanding. We have data collection, right? From PDF plus question answers, set source from this department. We put it in the AWS S3 bucket. We data pre-processing using Python. We are doing data pre-processing. Of course, completely data transformation, data reduction, cleaning, integration, all these things are there. We talk about a complete model building using RAG and of course fine tuning. Next step we talk about is model evaluation. Now here we have used human evaluation, score and dog score. We'll be talking about this completely, friends. Now, next we have model deployment. Here we have deployed a model using Streamlit in AWS EC2 instance. Right. EC2 basically, Amazon AWS, Amazon EC2 or AWS EC2. And next part after model deployment is monitoring and maintenance. And of course, same goes to end user where we are doing monitoring and maintenance, of course. Now, this is how the high level architecture diagram looks like. You can see the complete crisp MLQ methodology is followed, and for each and every step, we have given details. Overview of the same. Now, when we talk about low level architecture diagram, here we talk about everything. We talk about once we go in low level architecture diagram, we have business understanding, business problem, objective, constraint, success criteria. Three of them, be it business success criteria, be it ML success criteria, be it economic success criteria, right? We're talking about data understanding. Well, we talk about the target audience, right? We talk about target audience, we talk about type of queries they have, key insights that we have here, right? And data understanding. After that, we talk about data collection, right? We will be seeing this completely in slides. This is just an overview of what we have in high level design and low level design. Data collection, where do we get our data from, right? Different departments, right? CRM department, sales department. And after that, once we get the data, we are going for data pre-processing. Before pre-processing, we do EDA, that is exploratory data analysis. Right? What type of exploratory data analysis we have done here? We have done, again, word relevance, human evaluation, we talked about data collection here. We actually did EDA, how to clean the data. We did all those things. Pre-processing we need to do. We have organized the data and of course, transform the data too. In such a way, the data was ready. I'll be showing the data too. Pre-processing, what we talk about key takeaways about it here completely. Now, yesterday, our CEO talked about decision analysis and resolution, DAR. Now, when you are talking about DAR, you talk about the complete models that you're using and who's a provider, what are the different factors that are related to the same, which model you're using and why. It's something that we need to see here, right? Now, for this particular project here, for example, after this, we are talking about model building and evaluation completely. What are we doing model building, right? What are the models that we have used here? What are the fine-tuned techniques we have used here? After that, after model building, we go to model evaluation. Different evaluation technique. We go for blue score, rogue score. We talk about human evaluation. We go for that. And after that, we talk about the deployment strategy. Model deployment using Streamlit. Completely using WinSCP, using PuTTY, of course, connecting to EC2 using Putty and setting up the Python environment there, and running the Streamlit there, app there, completely all these things we see here. And of course, the last part, that is monitoring and maintenance. Now, if you see, all these things is in complete detail when we talk about low-level architecture diagram. And this is what we do once we complete our research phase, right? High-level diagram and low-level diagram. So I'll wait for 1 minute or 2 minutes. I'll take any questions if you have. Right. Now, yes, team, I'm open to questions that you have here. Team, any question you have, feel free to ask. You can actually ask me questions in chat box itself. I'll be answering the same too. And of course, when we are talking about this particular program, let me go to our YouTube channel and see. Well, it's an instance of Chandrasekhar where we actually deploy a model. It's AC2 service, AWS service. Yes, let me go to our YouTube channel. Here we can see we have 23 people watching here. We have all people here. I request you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go there and yes. And I request you to press the bell icon too. Right. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And yes, let me go to our LinkedIn account. Go to the LinkedIn page. And yes, let me paste it here. I request everyone to go there. And if you're not followed us on LinkedIn, I request you to follow us on LinkedIn. Okay. Guys, we'll be going towards the AWS services too. Slowly and steadily, when we talk about the complete process, we'll be talking about that too during deployment phase, right? Yes, Manoj Kumar, you can actually use model building. You can actually use the same model. You can use chatbots, for example, to make it more effective, right? For example, if you're assistant professor, you might be getting queries which are very, very repetitive in nature. Right, because if you're suppose you're teaching accounting, for example, accounts, for example, if you're from commerce domain, you will be getting those repeated questions. What you can do is you can use the same technique. You can come up with questions and answers, right? And you can feed the same data to the model. And in that way, you will have a chatbot ready that your students also can use. That will actually ease your life too. It will actually increase, uh, of course, your likelihood. And when we talk about this, it will actually make teaching effective, right? Effectivity of teaching will increase. And yes, your work will decrease a bit for sure. Yes, Sridhar will be seeing the same. Definitely will be seeing the same. Yes, Sudesh, we'll be talking about AWS services. See, when we talk about AWS services, here, Amazon Web Services, we have different services here, right? For example, the products we see here, when we talk about compute here, you see this Amazon EC or EC2, virtual servers in the cloud. Yes, this is where we actually installed, we actually deployed the model here, right? This is EC2 instance, Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud, the cloud environment basically here. Now, when we talk about AWS, of course, I was supposed to go there later, but I'll just give an overview. AWS is basically a cloud platform of Amazon, right? So this Amazon.com, you can go here, just go to aws.amazon.com, and you can actually explore all the projects, all the resources here. We use Amazon EC2 as we have seen. Yeah. Manoj Kumar will be talking about it to complete. You can use Gen AI itself, right? We'll be talking about it. So, and friends, when we are talking about this, we have a referral scheme too. For example, if you are referring someone to 360DigiTMG, you will be getting 1,000 rupees as incentive for the same, right? And as we discussed, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram, follow us on LinkedIn, right? We have such content coming up. We have much more content coming up, right? Let me go back and start. Let me go back and continue here from here, basically the complete project that we need to talk about. So till now, we talked about business understanding. Take this pen, and of course, in case you're lost, we will be talking about it in detail. First, we discuss about the CRISP MLQ methodology completely. In that, we talked about business understanding, right? Once business understanding is done, in business and after this, you talk about business objective, you talk about business constraints, you talk about 3 success criterias, in which we talk about business success criterias, we talk about economic success criteria, and of course, we talk about ML success criteria, machine learning success criteria. Once this part is over, you have the success criteria ready, you understand the business completely, to come up with the project charter. Now, project charter, as we discussed, is the first document that gets prepared and contains high-level details. Project charter contains high-level details. Now, after this part, what do we do? Once we understand the business, we go for research. After this, we go for research. Of course, when we talk about AI Spry, we have our own research tracker where we read all these points. We have a research tracker ready. Research. And all the details we fill in the research tracker. Right. Once you're done with research, you come up with the project architecture. Where you talk about high-level design, right, or high-level project architecture like this. We have discussed this here. high level architecture diagram you make and low level architecture diagram you make, right? That you have high level architecture diagram. And of course, you have low level architecture diagram. You make high level and low level architecture diagram. This is what we do in project architecture. Now, once that part is done, once this part is over, we have reached till this phase. And friends, trust me, this is a complete methodology that we actually follow here. So what you are understanding is actually what is done in industry, right? Now, once this part is over, let's get back to the slides and we'll be discussing about this thing. Now the same thing here, we're talking about the end-to-end diagram, the end-to-end architecture diagram. This is just an overview of we are doing here RAG. We have data, we go to model building. This is model building related to the RAG and fine tuning, and we deploy it in Streamlit, deployed in ACTC2 using the Streamlit app. Now, this is the complete process that we follow here while we are making the project. And this is the deployment architecture. Now, what do we do here? When we talk about complete process, we have data sources. After that, we go towards document processing. We make its chunk. Embedding models we have, we do vector embeddings, vector databases we do prompting, right? All these things. And of course, we have queries, we have application, and we are doing fine tuning here. Let's talk about it in detail. This is the deployment architecture we have. Let me explain this architecture completely. Okay, I'll do one thing. While explaining this, while continuing with the slides, I'll be coming back to that slide again and explaining that architecture, or I'll be giving you an overview of the same once we covered done with it. Rama, it's okay, completely fine. That's not an issue. Now, data collection we talk about. Of course, we did data from the sales department, from CRM department. We get collected data. We collect the data by ourselves to sales department. They will be having some queries related to what's the price of a particular course, what's the pricing that we have kept, what's the discount that is available. All these queries can be given by sales department, and answers to those queries can be clearly given to the sales department. Sales department provided a list of common sales or admission queries. We go to the CRM department. It has supplied interaction logs, including frequently asked questions and responses. CRM department, basically what are the queries related to the students have, right? Related to the courses and all, right? So we have structured data on nature of student inquiries here from CRM department, and we have collected data. The data we have, we make it in question answer set, of course, categorized by topic. That it may be that data, for example, when we are talking about that may be related to admission, right? That may be related to fees, that may be related to course detail. In this way, you're just categorizing the data, right? And talking about categories here, admission, enrollment, fee structure, academic guidance, counseling, there are different categories here. I'll be showing you the data for the same too, the data that we have used here. Now, talking about this complete data collection process, we have made an Excel sheet here. For example, You are getting data, you are getting questions and answers, right? Let me take you to the data first. Let me show you the data, that will be better. This type of data you see, word relevance, based on word relevance, we have question answers, etc. Now, this is the basic data that we gave there. Again, this is for 360DigiTMG, complete whatever question we had from A to Z, complete question related to different departments, right? Be it training, be it sales, anything, right? Whatever questions we give, we get whenever we talk about the demo session we have. Demo session, once you enroll to the course, the first session we'll have will be orientation session. That will be the demo session we'll be having. We'll be talking about how we actually deal with each and every part, right? What are the certifications we are having? All these things we talk about in this particular chatbot. This chatbot is actually what we use. Again, we have prompts ready here. We'll be using prompts. What was the test data? What was the raw data? Everything like this. If you see, raw data was actually arranged in an Excel format like this, right? We had complete raw data, all the questions that we had here, like this. From one department, we had test data, completely different models that we use, what we got here. Right? Now, different prompts we have used, we'll be talking about it. And we make a PDF too, we'll be talking about PDF too, right? Now, this is the data I wanted to show that we have used here while we were making chatbot for 360DigiTMG. That is our consulting vertical. That is our basically edtech vertical. And consulting vertical we talk about is AI Spry. Now, let's talk about the exploratory data analysis part, the EDA part we call it. Here, what are we doing? We are compiling two sheets. We have seen this type of sheet there, right? We have questions and answers related to the same. We have seen this data. We compile an Excel sheet with two columns. One column has questions and one column has answers to structure and organize the data properly. Now, we can talk about human evaluation too. When we talk about human evaluation, we conducted human reviews to assess relevance and quality. Now, for example, once this data we got this data, after that, is it really good to send the same data or use the same data to give to the model? When we are talking about data, it is very necessary that we give proper data to the model, right? Proper to the data to the model so that our model performs in a really good way. Better the data, better will be the model building, and of course, better will be the accuracy. When we talk about accuracy, for example, if your model is not performing well, please check your data. There may be a problem in the data itself. We talk about human evaluation. We talk about word relevance. We use word cloud. What is word cloud? We will be talking about this. I will be explaining the same. We use human evaluation. Basically, we evaluate in ourselves. For example, each we give it to people, different people from different department, so that they can assess relevance and the quality of it. If there's something that is irrelevant, for example, if we are dealing with courses here at 360DigiTMG, it may happen that there were few topics that were added to make sure that students actually learn in a better way, when enhance their learning. This means those questions related to previous topics needs to be phased out, right? If we are not dealing with those topics, or if we are including more topics, this means we need to make sure that we give more data to the model itself. So we remove irrelevant records to refine the data set. And yes, we talk about word relevance. We use word cloud to visualize the relevancy of what are the words that are frequently occurring. Visualize the relevance of frequently occurring words and helping identify prominent topics and terms. Basically, what is a word cloud? Let me deal with it. When we talk about word cloud, It is a visualization method, a visualization technique that we use in text mining, basically, for, of course, visualizing the words. When we talk about word cloud, you can make different word clouds. Let me go back to the slide and show it to you. Now, this is how a word cloud looks like. This is what a word cloud looks like. Now, see this. Now, when we talk about analysis, there can be unigram analysis, bigram analysis, or trigram analysis. Now, what is unigram analysis? What is bigram analysis? What is trigram analysis? Let me talk about that. Always, whenever we are giving data, see, now this is slowly and steadily we are moving towards the model building, towards embedding and all. Whenever we give data to the model, the first process we do is tokenization. What do we do in tokenization? Basically, we convert sentence into different small units, small constituent units. We call it tokens. Tokenization, we convert sentence into tokens. Now, this is a very important concept when you are dealing with such topics, basically related to generative AI or something like that. When we talk about tokenization, we have different methods. Again, we have character tokenization. We have word tokenization. We have, again, n-gram tokenization. And of course, when we're talking about it, the fourth one is sentence tokenization. N-gram tokenization and sentence tokenization. We talk about these things. Now, what are these methods? Of course, different tokenization techniques. We'll talk about for the session itself, for easing your confusion, whatever confusion you have, just to clear that. Consider we are talking about a sentence that Virat Kohli is an excellent batsman. Now, when we are talking about word tokenization, this each and every word will be a token here. For example, Virat Kohli is an excellent batsman when we are talking about. So this will be, when you're talking about word tokenization, this will be one token, this will be another token, like this. It will be breaking the sentence into small units. These units are called tokens. So when we talk about n-gram tokenization deals with three parts. That is unigram and bigram tokenization and trigram tokenization. When we're talking about unigram tokenization, here, what is unigram, bigram, and trigram? In unigram tokenization, each word will be a token, just like word tokenization. Each word will be a token here. When we are talking about, this is basically in unigram tokenization. When we talk about bigram tokenization, two words together will be one token. For example, Virat Kohli, Kohli is an excellent batsman. Like this. Two words together are forming a token here. Again, like this. This is called bigram tokenization. Two words together, by unigram, one word. Bigram, two words. And trigram, we are talking about three words. This is basically bigram method. When we talk about trigram tokenization, we talk about three words together, three words combined together, like Virat Kohli is. For example, this will become one token completely. For example, Virat Kohli is. This is one token. Three words, one token. Kohli is an. Again, three words, another token. Is an excellent. Three words again, another token. An excellent batsman. Three words again, another token. What are we doing here? Trigram tokenization. So unigram, bigram, trigram. Now, let's talk about the relevancy. When we are talking about unigram tokenization, it is really difficult to understand the context, right? When you go from unigram to trigram, let me just write it in this way. When you go from unigram to trigram, what you actually do is you increase the contextual understanding. Increase contextual understanding. Let me write it clearly. Contextual understanding. Right. Now, increase contextual understanding means, we'll see. Basically, consider the word hazard. If we see hazard, okay, it may feel like it's a negative word. But in a sentence, for example, the sentence is, there is no safety hazard. Write it properly. Yes, Srinivas, it's same. Word tokenization, when we are talking about, and unigram tokenization, it will be the same thing. There is no safety hazard in this place. Now think of it. When you're talking about unigram approach, there is no safety hazard in this place. But you see hazard, it won't understand the context. We will just get a single word, hazard, and that would be a problem. But when you see trigram, you're increasing the context. Contextual understanding is increasing, and you understand, because of trigram, you're able to understand there is no safety hazard. It's not a negative word, it's a positive thing, no safety hazard. And also, when we are talking about moving from unigram to trigram, basically the computational power increases. Computational power requirement increases. Computational power requirement increases from unigram to trigram. This is what we have. This is what we need to understand when we talk about unigram, bigram, and trigram. Why did I explain all these things? Because once we are done with tokenization, we go towards embedding. Once we are done with tokenization, we go towards vectorization, I should say. That would be better. we go towards vectorization. Vectorization is just a method to convert those tokens into numerical form, or words we have will be converted into numerical form. Vectorization generally, again, there are different, there are two types, one hot encoding generally we see and embedding we see. Generally, I'll just write it and I'll explain embedding, because embedding is generally what we do here in generative AI. One hot encoding, just for your reference, and we have embedding. When we talk about embedding, what are we doing? We are just converting those tokens, those words into numerical form. Or I should write token rather than token. You can just write words to numerical form or numerical vector or just a vector. Embedding, we have different type of vectors. You can use pre-trained models here. You can make your own model, or you can use a pre-trained model here. Right. This pre-trained model, there are different pre-trained model. For example, there's pre-trained model if you're talking about, clear this. I'll just talk about it so that we don't need to talk about it again. Again, there are different pre-trained models. There's, for example, word to vector. There's, for example, continuous bag of words. There's, for example, skip gram. There's, for example, one more thing. For example, there's glove, right? Global vector, we call it. These are different pre-trained models we have in embedding. Now, this is just an overview of what we do. Data, we tokenize the data, and we go for vectorization. In vectorization, we have embedding, because this embedding word is something that you will be hearing a lot of times when it comes to generative AI. All the time, you will be hearing the word embedding. What is embedding? Embedding is nothing but converting the word into numerical form that the machine will understand and will be able to relate to each and every word. Now, okay, now let me ask you some question. What are the different method of embedding have we seen now? Different pre-trained models that we have, pre-trained models we have seen for embedding. Or okay, word to X, CBOW, skip gram, glove. Yes, very good team. Yes, we are getting a lot of answers here. And yes, I can really feel that our CEO is right when he said that this session is really very interactive, really active, and they give fast answers. Yes, there are different method we know. Now, why did I explain? Now the question goes, and I hope people in YouTube are commenting in the chat box too. Right. Now, let me go back here. And why did I explain this unigram? What is unigram? What is bigram? What is trigram? All these things. Basically, if we talk about unigram analysis here, this is basically the word cloud. And in word cloud, when we talk about word cloud, we know it's a visual representation. Word cloud, we are talking about visual representation. The property, one property that is really clear about word cloud, or very famous about word cloud, is when you're talking about word cloud, now see, this is unigram analysis. Now you understand what is unigram. Now, why did I go back to that portion and why did I explain tokenization and embedding? this is the case. We needed to understand unigram. Unique, what is unigram, bigram, trigram, all these things. In word cloud, what happens? For example, there are few words that will be repeating again. For example, we here at 360DigiTMG, we teach generative AI, we teach data science, we teach data analytics, we teach artificial intelligence, we teach MLOps, right? And business analytics, all these courses we teach. Basically, if you see, most of the times related to data everywhere, right? You notice one pattern here. The word data is given in a very big manner, right? It's represented, it's the biggest word that you can see here. The size is the biggest one. When you talk about the size, this just means this particular word is repeated frequently. So, more is the frequency, bigger is the size of word. This is what happens in word cloud. This means course, program, completion, certificate, analytics, science, Python, data, right? All these things are repeated a lot. This is what we got from unigram analysis. So we'll just read it. Definition: analyzes single word frequencies, helping to identify the most common individual terms. Unigram analysis we do to understand, or unigram word cloud we make to understand what are the most common individual terms. Bigram analysis, when we talk about two words together. For example, as we talked about the courses that we provide, data engineering, data science, data analytics, MLOps, there is generative AI, right? So, for example, data science is a big word here. Why? Because we're talking a lot of times about the courses here. This is basically, as we discussed, something that we have applied on ourselves, right? This is before we start doing, or before we start telling about other projects, we need to tell you that, okay, even if when we are talking about AI services, we develop solutions for ourselves too. Data science, we have data analytics, we're doing live projects here, right? Course completion, completion certificate, SUNY professional certificate, CDA program. We have all of these here. In case you want more information, let me take you to our website, 360DigiTMG. Now, this is basically 360DigiTMG website. And of course, different courses we talk about, deep science and artificial intelligence and all those things. Right. For example, data analytics and business intelligence, generative AI, MLOps, data engineering, cloud technologies. We talk about specializations in analytics, different analytics courses we have, right? Healthcare, supply chain, political, HR, marketing, financial, all these things. Now, of course, I'll make sure that I give you this website details. I'll put it in the chat box. And in case I request here to visit here. Friends, I request to be on mute if you have no question. Now feel free to visit our website related to data science and data analytics. You'll see a lot of courses here, of course. Now, let's get back to the project. Okay. Bigram analysis, we did bigram analysis related. Now you understand this, why this word data is related, the data is repeated a lot when you talk about unigram analysis like this, because of different courses we have here. Trigram analysis involves three-word combinations or trigrams, which provide more detailed phrase structures. For example, when we talk about context, we talk about that completely. The contextual understanding we are increasing as we are going towards n-gram analysis. Excuse me. Now, insight, of course, highlight commonly used expressions, giving deeper insights into nuanced language pattern. Of course, we get deeper insights too. Project completion certificate, course completion certificate, data engineering course data science, SUNY data analytics, completion certificates, all those things, professional course data, all those things we are talking about here. Now, this is what we did. We did trigram analysis. And now, let's move towards the data preparation part. When talking about data preparation, of course, let me just ask you a question again. What are the n-gram analysis we have seen? What are these, team? Yes, very good. It's unigram, bigram, trigram. Yes. Exactly. Very good. I hope people, our students in YouTube and participants in YouTube are actually writing these things, right? Just be very active, team. You will be learning a lot here, right? Now, yes, unigram, bigram, trigram, and contextual understanding increases as we go further, right? We increases the number of grams here. We actually increase the contextual understanding. Now, talking about data preparation here for this particular project. Step one is organizing data. We organize the data in the Excel format. We have discussed this, that we take the data and we just organize the data into format, question and answers. Let me write it clearly. Questions, column one is question, and column two is corresponding answers. We have seen the data set basically. For example, let me show this again. Like this, we have questions and answers available in this format, right? And here, let me go back. And what we do? Basically, we need to do data augmentation. Augmentation, when we do, we actually increase the data here, right? For example, rather than just giving one type of data, we give more variation to the same question. For example, what we did here is we use ChatGPT to generate 25 variation of each question while keeping answers unchanged. It may happen that you have a same answer. For example, if you ask me, now this is project related to 360DigiTMG, so we'll be talking about the same. We are our own clients here for this particular project. Now, it may happen that you are talking about a course structure of a course pricing of a particular course. So for example, you may say, what is the price of particular for data science, right? What is the price you have kept for data science? Or how much do you charge for data science? This is another variation of the same question, right? Now, in this way, we ask ChatGPT to generate 25 variation for each questions, and while keeping the answer constant. Answer would be the same. If you want to know, you can just go back. I've given the link to our website. You can actually go and see the course of pricing and all we have kept. Now, this helps to train the chatbot to recognize different phrasing of same query. Now, for example, one question I got from Manoj Kumar, Mr. Manoj Kumar, that when he is a professor, can he actually make this type of chatbot? Yes, Mr. Manoj Kumar, as we discussed, you can make the same thing. You can apply the same methodology too. For one topic, you can actually keep multiple questions. Answer would be the same. You can keep multiple questions in that way. And yes, answer would be the same so that different variations of each question will be covered. Now, after that, what we do? We transform the data. Now, why do we need to transform the data? Because we need to give the same data to the model here. For example, what are we doing in transformation? Okay. We are actually converting the Excel sheet we have into JSON lines format using Python. We use Python. We have Excel document. We convert that into JSON-L format. Now, why? Because we needed to use this particular format in a Hugging Face model, Excel in the JSON-L format. Upload the JSON-L file to Hugging Face for fine-tuning on large language model. Talk about Hugging Face again. The models that we are using here, not model per se, but basically, again, company basically that makes all these things. Hugging Face is a famous model here for fine-tuning on large language models. Type 2 is basically transform the data into PDF format for RAG. RAG is something that we have discussed yesterday too, is retrieval augmented generation. RAG. Now, what do we do in RAG? Basically, when you are using a model that is pre-trained, right? You are using a model that is a pre-trained model. It may happen, suppose you have, now consider that we are talking about 360DigiTMG, right? Now, if we are talking about 360DigiTMG, those pre-trained models that we have used before, on which we have made a complete structure, the large language models that we have used may not be having the data specific to 360DigiTMG, right? This just means we need to give more data. We are giving that as a PDF format for RAG, for retrieval augmented generation, so that whenever someone is asking a query specific to 360DigiTMG or specific to the process we follow at 360DigiTMG, we will be getting answers because of the same, right? We are using pre-trained model. At the very same time, we are giving PDF too. PDF of all the questions that are being asked to us and its variations too, right? Now, transform data into PDF format for RAG implementation, retrieval augmented generation. This is very important. Remember the full form. RAG involves both retrieval of existing answers and dynamic response generation based on the retrieved content. As we have discussed, pre-trained model is there. Also, we are actually giving another PDF here to make sure that dynamic answers, of course, related to particular domain, whichever we're talking about, we get those answers too. Here, what are we doing in data preparation? The prepared data enables the chatbot to handle both simple and repeated questions and more complex or less frequent queries. Right. Now, for example, there are some questions which are repeated again and again. Well, you have those those questions available. But if you're talking about specific question that is asked very less, for example, if you're using pre-trained model, They may not be asking, people may not be asking about 360DigiTMG specifically, but when you are dealing with the model that is related to 360DigiTMG, of course, we will be putting, if you are making a chatbot related to us, we will be making in that data in that way, right? Now, when we are talking about it, we use RAG to make sure that less frequent queries for that particular machine or that particular model, we give answers to those queries too. Now, let's move further. Before we move to the next part, let me ask you a question. Yes, Srinivas, it can. But here we are talking about this type of text data itself. Now, let me ask you a simple question. What is the full form of RAG? And expect people or friends watching it watching it in YouTube to answer the same. What is the full form of RAG? Okay, team, I'll wait for 1 minute. I'll see more answers coming here. Go to YouTube and let me check if our friends are answering there too. Go to live portion. When you go to live, here we have live here. Exactly, we can see our friends answering here. Yes. Yes, team, that's really, really good response. Okay. Now, let's talk about DAR. Yesterday, our CEO talked about DAR, right? Okay. Anyone, what is the full form of DAR? Okay. Talk about the same here. Yesterday, we had seen the same. This is the full form of DAR. Very good. It's really good to see that answer. Really good to see that you people are really, really active. Decision analysis and resolution. Right. So as we discussed yesterday, whenever we talk about anything, we talk about decision analysis and resolution. For example, if you want to start a particular project, or when we are starting a particular project and you want to use a particular model, or you want to use a particular vector database for a particular project, which model will you go for? Or which project will you go for? Or which vector database you'll go for? For that, you do DAR, right? The same thing we have done here. We have given model, who's a provider, context window. What is the context window? Is it open source or not? What is the price per million? What is the price, quality, speed? We have actually compared each and every model. And friends, let's not forget, the models we are talking about are pre-trained models. What are these pre-trained models? Pre-trained models are models, or basically most of the time if you see these are transformers, basically these are actually trained on large amount of data, on large corpus of data, right? So if you talk about GPT, generative pre-trained transformer, we call it GPT. For example, it is generative transformer, generative pre-trained transformer, right? Now it's take off. It's actually trained on large amount of data. GPT we talk about GPT 4.0, 4 Turbo, 4, 3.5. 3.5 again, 4 if we see is just an improvement over 3.4 if we see if just an improvement over 3.5. Basically, it is trained on more data now, right? So model will be able to answer more complex queries. Here, GPT you see, Gemini, Gamma, Claude by Anthropic, of course. GPT when we are talking about OpenAI. Chat GPT when we talk about is actually using GPT here. For example, when we talk about Chat GPT, Chat Generative Pre-trained Transformer. Now you have seen there are different versions. There's 3.5, there's 4, or there's 4.0, there's O mini. All these different versions we have. What are these different versions of? These are versions of GPT. The GPT, the generative pre-trained transformer that OpenAI is using. Right. And of course, we will be talking about this GPT, how it came into existence, all these things in session when our CEO, Mr. Bernie Kumar Dipuru, will be teaching in this session, right? For next 3 more days, I'll be talking about the complete projects. 4 projects we'll be discussing in 4 days. Today we are discussing one. Next 3 days, that is 13th, 14th and 15th is off. 16th and 17th, we'll be talking about more projects, right? And after that, our CEO, Mr. Bernie Kumar Dipuru, will be continuing. Since you will be having a complete information of how these things work, it will be really easy for you to understand these things again, right? Now, GPT, Gemini, Gamma, Claude, Command R+, that's by Cohere, and there's Llama 3. Again, these are trained on different parameters, different number of parameters. It is by Meta AI, basically by Facebook. Meta AI, the company that owns Facebook. There's Mistral. There are different models. For example, large, medium, small. There's Mixtral, again another pre-trained model by Mistral AI. All these things are by Mistral AI. And there's DBRX, again pre-trained model by Databricks. Now, depending on that, we know there's a context window. How much one can remember. Open source, is it open source or not? GPT is not open source. Gamma, for example, is open source. Which model we should go for? What is the price of it? Right? What is the quality? How much is the speed? All those things we see here. Now, the same way we have, for example, different comparison we have done using MMLU, GPQA, GSM, math, human evaluation, different evaluation benchmarks we have here. And we are talking about these models, Mistral, Gamma, Llama 3, all these models. By the way, any idea? WhatsApp that you're using, when you see the Meta AI that's given there, it's using which model? Any idea? Okay. When you're talking about WhatsApp, you must be seeing there's Meta AI search, right? When we are talking about that search, it's using Llama 3.2. Again, Llama 3.2. Basically, Llama is again a pre-trained model that Facebook is using. It's Facebook's pre-trained model. Right. Okay. Talking about model building, just see, we have 10 minutes. No issues with this, friends. Even if we lack time, we'll be continuing, and tomorrow we'll be discussing one more project too. Talking about particular project. Team, I request you to please be on mute. Model building, when we're talking about, the technique we are using here is RAG. We have seen what RAG does, and you have answered really well what is the full form of RAG when I asked for. It's retrieval augmented generation. Yes. Yes, Srinivas. Yes, Binsi. It's Llama 3. Basically, it's using Llama 3.2 now. Now, we have implemented both name reg and advanced reg techniques using LangChain and Llama index. Now, all these things, we'll be dealing about this in detail, right? There's LangChain, there's Llama index. Once our project discussion is over for 4 days, we'll be dealing about these things in very much detail. What is LangChain? What is Llama index? Again, Llama index is by Facebook. LangChain, again, that you can use to chain the models and all, right? So again, models that we have used here, we have seen DAR there, and using that, we have used Llama 3, Llama 3, 38B, Mistral, Gamma 9B, and Zephyr. Now, these are the pre-trained models that we have used while making this model. Now, let me just go back. And of course, why they are chosen? Because of extensive training data. They have been trained on large amount of data. It's open source. You're talking about high parameter count. Number of parameters are high. And of course, there's less hallucination, right? With respect to other models. And yes, this is the DAR or here DAR for the vector databases we have, right? We have different parameters on which we can actually deal with each and every database. We have used Chroma DB here and FAISS here by Facebook, of course, Facebook AI selective search. And here we have open source status, deployment option, programming language that we are using here, performance, scalability, unique features of these things. And we considered all these points and we came up with Chroma database, Chroma DB basically. Yes, Srinivas, we'll be discussing about that. Does not compromise on privacy. Yes, of course, when we are talking about any model, right, privacy is really, really important. We'll be discussing about that in deep. Let that particular portion come, right? Now, here, for model building, we have used vector databases. Chroma DB or FAISS DB we have used different databases for efficient retrieval of relevant documents and data. Now, when I talk about the RAG process, retrieval augmented generation uses the databases to store and retrieve high dimensional vectors. Now, where did we see these vectors? Where did this vector come from? We remember we discussed vectorization. And vectorization, we talked about embedding. When we do embedding, we come up with high dimensional vectors. And that is stored in vector database. It enhances chatbot's ability to retrieve accurate information based on context of the query. Now let me show the code first. Now I have opened a few codes. For example, here, and talk about this particular model. These are some working codes we will see. We are doing fine chain, LangChain we are using, right? Using Chroma database for all models. Which models we have tried? Here, we have discussed which model we have tried for RAG. Gamma 7B, Gamma 9B, Llama 3, this Llama 3 again, Mistral, Zephyr. We have talked about different models, right? Now, These are the codes that we have used here. Again, these are all our working codes. Last checkpoint, you can see 2 days ago. We have gone through that. We actually made sure that it's running completely, right? Once you understand LangChain and everything, it will be easier for you to understand. Basically, this is using Llama index, right? We can make, again, we can use LangChain too. This is completely using the Llama index. This is a complete working code. Llama 9B if we see. Different models we have tried, and of course, for all of them, we have this different codes. That is using Llama index. For example, now if I have to show you using LangChain, these are the codes we have for LangChain. Right, the complete code that we have. Whenever all these things will be explaining the working code, this is just related to the project that we have done, right? Exactly, the amount of models that we have tried for making sure that this chatbot is ready and it's working completely. We'll be discussing about these codes. Once our CEO, Mr. Birni Kumar Dipru, starts the session again, he will be explaining all these things in detail, and you will be learning a lot from that, right? Right now, I'm just dealing with the projects that we are doing, giving an overview of what we actually do completely in generative AI when we are making a complete app, right? Yes, Sridhar, thank you. Thank you, Srinivas. So yes, this is related to all the code part we have, and it's not just this much. We have just seen we have just seen here LangChain, we have just seen this Chroma database, LangChain, and Llama index, FAISS. We are still left with these codes for LangChain and all here, from LangChain and FAISS and Llama index and Chroma. We are still left with it, right? All these things we have covered, all these are working codes we have, right? Last checkpoint was very recent. This just means before we came up with this session, we made sure that we cross-check that completely, that our codes are working, right? We needed to make sure that all these things are working and working fine, right? So let us get back to AI Tutor. Now I can see it's already 9, right? And we have talked about model building, that is RAG. Tomorrow, we'll start again with the model building part. I'll revise everything. I understand I was supposed to finish one complete project, but we had a lot of things to discuss. I wanted to discuss completely because whatever project we do at AI Spry, we actually do it from one end to another end, right? And actually wanted to discuss about the complete process, be it research document, be it project charter, the complete process we follow. We at AI Spry actually focus a lot on process. When your process is right, things will take care automatically. You should focus on process rather than focusing on result. Result will come out properly if the process is right. And we were discussing the same process. Tomorrow, we'll be continuing with the same. We'll be discussing about AWS and everything, right? EC2 instance, how we deployed that, what are the codes we have. We'll be discussing about that. And yes, we'll be discussing about new project 2. Right? Once this project is done, we'll be discussing about new project 2. Yeah. So thank you so much, team. I hope you enjoyed session till this point. And yes, we'll meet again tomorrow, again with new energy. And yes, we'll continue again. So please stay connected, stay tuned. You can visit our website. You can join us here. Right. So thank you so much for your time, team. And yes, we'll meet again tomorrow. Thank you so much, team.